I'm Tom Bruckner. I'm in my backyard on my mostly completed half pipe. I'm going to start a series on how I designed it, how I sited it for its location, and how I built it. Get ready for part two.
This is how I made transitions in high school. I had no idea how to do it. One day I was in class and I was playing around with this idea. And what I would do is, if you look at the vertical representing 4 feet and the horizontal representing 8 feet, I would divide them up into equal amounts. On the vertical, it's every 6 inches. On the horizontal, it's every foot. So then I'd connect the lines, and as you can see, it makes a nice little transition. And I used it for everything from launch ramps to quarter pipes to the half pipes that I built, and everybody loved it. So I had to make a decision whether I was going to use this or the traditional route, which is the radius of a circle. And you can see here that this does not match up with the radius of a circle, the protractor being circular. So what is it? It's actually an ellipse. This is what a lot of skate parks use. And snowboard half pipes tend to be elliptical. So I had to make a decision whether or not I was going to continue this idea or if I was going to go the traditional use the radius of a circle route. So what's a better transition? Is it the radius of a circle or an ellipse? And this brings you back, 400 years ago to the Christochrone problem, where the idea was posed, what is the fastest path from A to B? And you can see it here. Is it a straight line? Is it a cycloidal arc, or is it a steep curve? Without getting into the whole physics mumbo jumbo of it, the cycloidal arc is the fastest route from point A to B. Turns out that the circular radius is closer to the cycloidal arc than the elliptical transition that I was using in high school. In fact, here in this picture, I transcribed a 6 foot and a 6'4" radius, the 6'4" radius being the closest to the cycloidal arc. But then I entered the rabbit hole of, is it better to have a mellow, a fast ramp? What's the best for a 2.5 foot or a 3.5 foot or a 4 foot ramp? And here I drew out the different radiuses, the steepest radius being 6 foot, the one in the middle being 6.5, and the more mellow one being a 7 foot radius. But then I went on to Reddit and I looked at some polls and read a lot of people's opinions and listened to other people's opinions. And most people agreed that the 7 foot radius was perfect for beginners. It's mellow enough. Not to be scary, but good enough to do tricks. So using this calculator, which I recommend everybody use, I plugged it in and I decided to go with the 7 foot radius for my ramp. So what's the whole point of this video? Well, it's showing you my thought process and how I chose the radius which I ended up with. Am I happy with the 7 foot radius? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, come to think of it, I probably should have went for a 6.5 foot radius. I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but you have to make these decisions before you start building. Okay, so you want to think about everything. Do you want it to be easy? Do you want it to be fast? Do you want it to have a little bit of steepness to it? Those are decisions you have to make before you start building. Or you can go to this website, DIYskate.com. I have no affiliation with them, but they provide plans for what I think is a nearly perfect half pipe. Check this out. So if you go to their DIY ramps and you go to the 3 foot mini, you click on that, get rid of this ad, it'll tell you everything: where to get the supplies, materials needed, tools needed, location, how to build it, what the cuts to make, how to do your transition, how to get your radius, framing it, and everything. The only thing I would change about this is it has a really long flat bottom. The reason why I know this is what we built on my son's friend's dad's ramp in their backyard, and I think the flat bottom's a little too long. Maybe cut it down another foot to about 7 foot. But this is I can't say anything bad about this. This is a great plan, and it's definitely something you should look at even if you're designing your own half pipe, because they give you some great tips here. As we come to the conclusion of this video, here's an image I found off the internet showing different radiuses and different ramp heights. Definitely something to consider and check out. My next videos are going to be about siting the half pipe, finding a good place for it, lifting it off the ground, getting the airflow underneath it, and about cutting the transition using my very unique way of doing it. I used a router on a pivot, and it gives a really nice clean cut, especially in this hard to cut pressure treated plywood. Jigsaws, they're tough to use. They always travel, and then you end up spending more time sanding it down to match them up. This gets it perfectly. So if you like these videos and you want to see more about constructing half pipes, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. Thank you, and have a great one.